welcome to United for Good. I'm Margaret O'Neill with the United Way of Central West Virginia. We always want to say thank you to the West Virginia Library Commission and the Library Television Network for allowing us to be part of their programming. We've been super excited to bring you some guests that talk about our community and can share a little bit of information with you about the other partners that the United Way has across our footprint. Just a quick reminder that our United Way does serve 6 counties in Central West Virginia. We're Kanawha, Putnam, Boone, Logan, Clay, and Braxton. And by serve, it's simply that. If you're a nonprofit 501c3 organization in those counties, it gives you an opportunity to apply for funding through the United Way. And most importantly, if you're someone in any of those 6 counties who has a need, we certainly want you to reach out to us either directly to the United Way of Central West Virginia or by reaching out to West Virginia 211 simply by dialing 211 on any phone and get connected and get help for things that are non-emergent. So this time of year, we always worry about folks who have disconnected utilities, who may be without good coats or without shoes for their kids. So it's an opportunity for you to please reach out to us if you need assistance. It's always our pleasure to help and to serve. And so I'm super excited about our guest today. She is one of my very favorite people in the land and one of the very favorite places I think that we have in Charleston. So welcome, Sarah Bolyard.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sarah is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Charleston, and I'm like, it's more than Charleston maybe, but you can explain that, but of the YMCA.
Yes.
We love the Y, and we'll talk about some of the things the United Way does to, be supportive of you and how you've been so supportive of us. But first of all, tell us a little about yourself and how long you've been at the Y,
Sure.
and let our folks get to know you.
Yeah, so the YMCA of Kanawha Valley is made up of the Charleston Family YMCA and the Cross Lanes Child Development Center. So we're the association that provides operation and oversight of those 2 facilities. I started in August of 2020, so jumped right in at a great time. Jumped right in the middle of COVID.
And you're still there.
And I'm there.
Yay.
So we've come a long way in the last 3 years. I was with the Heart Association as the state director there for about 8 years prior to coming over to the Y. It's been a blessing. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done, the most people I've ever had oversight of, but it's been the most rewarding by far, and I've learned so much in just a very, very short time. My husband and I are from the Charleston area, and we have a little boy who's 6. And
that you have your hands full.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
a sweet baby boy.
Yeah, he's wonderful, but yes, we have our hands full. We're in the trenches, as they say.
Well, better you than me. Mine's 34, so I will just live vicariously through your youth and teen years.
Yes.
And remember that I'm glad I'm not doing that.
Well.
So I'll just start by saying the United Way has tried to really embrace the opportunities that the Y provides, and as an organization, we're able to supplement the cost of a Y membership to our team. And so when you talk about life-work balance and making sure that our team, which is family to us at the United Way as it is to you, that they're healthy and that we can offer those opportunities. And so we're really grateful. It's a little bit of a reduced price, and so it makes it affordable for folks like us as a nonprofit to offer that.
Yeah.
It's a nice little perk for our team. And so if you're listening and you haven't thought about that, it's a really great way to offer up your staff a little extra perk.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Sarah and the team are super easy to work with.
Yeah,
But
well, thank you.
you do that with a bunch of people?
Yeah, so we really do, and we really try to navigate through the business community and make sure that they're aware that obviously wellness, health and wellness is, there's a direct correlation between mental health, productivity at work, insurance costs of employers. You want to have a healthy workforce, and so being able to provide an opportunity for your team to go to the Y at a reduced cost, that's either the team carries the weight of, they pay it, or the employer pays it, which is an even better perk for your staff. It's really beneficial, and we've seen some great results from that. We've seen partnerships built through the memberships at the Y, and it's a whole community, so it gives them a little bit of a networking opportunity as well.
Yeah, so off the cuff question, if you don't know.
Yeah.
I promised. There would be weird questions.
You're fine.
Total membership? What is your total membership?
We have over 6,000 members currently.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's
so
amazing.
It is. We break it down a little bit differently though. So when I say 6,000 members, that doesn't mean we have 6,000 people paying, and some folks kind of get confused by that. So we have over 33,000 households, or 3,300, households that are a part of the organization,
Gotcha.
And with that, everybody.
Yeah, so my husband and I are a household.
Yep, you're a household.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the title of our show is More Than Just a Gym, and although it's a great gym and it's a great place to go and you feel safe and it's clean and we hear the great stories about all the different sections.
Yeah.
Like some of our team just work out on various machines. Then
Yep.
I've been encouraged to come to some class on, I don't even know what, spin class maybe.
Oh, okay. I was going to say boot camp. Come on.
Oh, no. I am not an exercise. My mouth gets the most exercise of any part of me. But they come back and they're like,
Yeah.
come do this. This was so
Yeah.
much fun. And,
Yeah.
the pools, we had one of our team had a baby. And so while she
Yeah.
was pregnant, really enjoyed the pool
Oh,
for,
yeah.
good healthy exercise. And so
Absolutely.
it is a great place to be the gym.
Oh, yeah,
But it's
for
so
sure.
much more than a gym. And if
Yeah.
you haven't been there lately, maybe just a little 30,000 foot view
Sure.
of all the different services that you provide.
Absolutely. So, like you said, we're more than a gym, but that is a huge piece of what we do. And membership helps us do oversight in operations and things like that. Donors help us provide mission in the community. And so the membership piece of it is really important for us. We have over 100,000 square feet up on the hill on Hillcrest.
Wow.
We have 5 tennis courts. The only pool in town with a swim team and with laps that are always consistently available. We have 2 gyms. One has 4 different basketball courts on it when you break it up. The other is used more so for group fitness and things that you've probably been invited to. We have a spin studio, a yoga studio. There's really something for everyone.
And all levels, right? Because
all
like
levels,
me, I'm not
yeah.
kidding. Like I'm not a good exerciser, but there's welcoming space to people like me.
Absolutely. And the last 2 words of our mission statement are for all, and that really is important to myself, but it's also really important to my team. So we are an incredibly welcoming community, and that's what we've built up there. But there are programs for anyone. We are actually creating programs now that are for our special needs community. We've got a youth program that is youth strength and conditioning, and it is for all different fitness levels and all different types of kids. And so that's really important to us as well.
Love that so much.
Yeah, that has been incredibly rewarding for our staff. We've got a computer lab up there. Like there's really something for everybody. Yeah.
So if I bring my kids while I'm working out, they can do work on the computer lab and do homework.
They can do it. If they're old enough, they can be up there by themselves.
Gotcha.
But then there's also Child Watch that's available to our members who might have children under the age of 10. And we're the only one in town who has that because it's also important for us. We know that people need a break.
I'm going to derail you for a second.
Yeah.
I want to hear about the rest of the services, but I think that's just a great way for us to kind of jump into the challenges that we have with childcare and affordable childcare and what that looks like and how hard it is. And, we knew prior to COVID that women in the workforce were challenged because we often are the providers either to our children or to our parents or those senior care providers that we end up being the ones. But post-COVID, we actually have less women in the workforce than we've ever had before. And one of the things that we keep hearing as a United Way and when people reach out to us for assistance is, I just can't figure out child care to be able to get back into the workforce.
Absolutely, and that's understandable because it's a crisis, to be very honest.
Totally.
It's a national crisis, it's a statewide crisis, and child care providers are really stretched thin in the sense that, we rely a lot on reimbursement through the state for children that may be on subsidy. And if those costs aren't being met and helping us operate, then we have to put the burden on a private pay family. We don't want to, but there has to be some sort of balance between that.
Sure.
Just like with everything across the country, inflation has gone up. Our operating costs have gone through the roof.
Yep.
And we can't do
And you
business.
feed kids.
And
I
we
mean,
feed, we feed. So, we can't do business the way that we did before COVID, but unless the state can help us a little bit more, it's going to be challenging for a lot of child care providers, over the course.
You're not alone.
Yeah,
As
we
you
are
talk to
definitely
people,
not alone.
right.
And there is, Kanawha County, I think the access is not necessarily a gigantic problem. There are a lot of providers. Some may be on a wait list. Typically that's going to be in your infant classrooms, and that's because of ratios between staff and the amount of kids. But you don't want to increase those ratios because then that puts a child in danger.
And those two have been regulated over time,
Yes.
right? That there are higher standards for child care,
much
which
higher
we
standards,
all
which
wanted.
there should be.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
But it does put the burden on the provider to pay people who have been trained at a higher level or have higher educational needs to be able to meet the need of the provider.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tricky.
I mean, our staff are required to maintain CEUs. They're required to have certain trainings throughout the year. Insurance is a huge cost
Single
for us.
largest cost we have.
And with our organization, because we have, a large amount of employees, we have to provide health and medical insurance, and the liability piece is the one that's just astronomical.
Well, because I've been in there when you're like, hold on a minute, they're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, because it's incredibly expensive. But that's our mission, is to serve our community, and childcare is a really big piece of what we do. I had no idea anything about childcare before I started in my role, and I really have tried to embed myself in the trenches with staff. I've been volunteering in classrooms before. I have subbed in an infant classroom, and I look at the staff and I'm like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Call her saints. Because
me
I've
what
never
you
even
need.
held two babies at once. It's just a lot. It's hard work.
It is hard
It's
work.
very hard work, and they're not babysitters. There's curriculum that they have to follow, even as young as infants. As you said, we provide meals. We provided over 88,000 meals and snacks last year to 533 kids.
That's
To me,
amazing.
that's the most rewarding thing.
It gives me chill bumps.
I know, me too, and we're so proud of that. But we're not the only ones. Every other child care provider that's licensed in the state of West Virginia is doing the exact same thing. And I think that sometimes there is a misconception that it's expensive. You're right, it is. But we still are not operating at a profit.
Right.
And we won't until we can get some more support, and hopefully legislation will pass this year to allow us to do that.
It is a fine line that we walk in the nonprofit world, that we're, you want to be the ones that can do it and meet the needs and do all the things that can make people whole, but we're often the ones who also don't receive the resources back on the back end to provide that. So it's a tough walk sometimes.
It is, yeah.
So, so here's, I guess this is a question or a statement, but when we're talking about childcare, tell me your hours. Like when can kids be there?
So our hours out of our Cross Lanes Child Development Center serves roughly 300 kids, give or take, throughout the year. Our hours out there are 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. We have infants, so we take kids at 6 weeks old out there all the way up to 12 years old. Our facility in Charleston, the Big Y up on the hill, also has a child care wing on the back side of it, and they do after school, so they'll shuttle kids from 5 different feeder schools back to the Y, and so they get there at about 2:30, and then we close at 6 for parents to pick them up. In the summertime, when they have summer camp, day camp there, it's open at 7 o'clock every morning.
The reason I was pondering that is we also worry, because mothers or fathers, singles or couples that are working hourly work, it's sometimes so hard to get where you need to be at 6 o'clock. I mean, you know the way you and I work, right? If you didn't have support at home to pick up your son or to figure it out.
Wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to work like this.
Yeah.
And so for a single mom who's potentially at Wendy's or someplace where leaving an hourly job costs her money, and also it's just a struggle. Maybe she doesn't have a car, and you got to get a bus, and all those things. That's the real struggle that we're seeing with families,
100%.
right? It's and you see the exact same thing that we see.
Yeah.
And because of that, you started the marketplace.
Yeah. So we have. And I apologize if I get choked up about it, because she's just so incredibly special. There's a little girl that started in our after-school program a few years ago. I think she's been there about a little bit over 2 years now. We started seeing some signs of abuse pretty early on, and obviously did what we had to do. We're mandated reporters. She was still with us. They did their thing, what they need to do at the home, and we just know that she's been through a lot. And so she came to one of the counselors one day and said that her and her little sister were hungry. At the time, her sister was 2 years old. She, at the time, was 9 years old. And the only thing she asked for was baby food for her little sister. And that to us was like we're not doing this. We have to help. And it just spiraled into more. This got brought up at a staff meeting, and I'm so blessed to have an incredible team of dedicated professionals. Yes, and who truly step outside of the box to see how we can make mission happen in their role that they play at the Y. And so she said that they had started banking like little bags for her, and they'd put it in her backpack on Fridays to make sure that she had food. And I was like, we've got to do this bigger. There has to be. If it's her, we know that there's so many more. And so we tasked our members. We reached out to our members and said, hey, we want to start this. We want to start a food pantry. And so we opened the Y Marketplace in November of 2022. We have served over 300 families in that time,
awesome.
And it has been truly a remarkable experience. She was the first one to go through the doors when we opened, and she had tears in her eyes, and I told her, I was like, you know that this is all because of you, right? All of this is because one kid came to one staff member, and she just said how happy it made her. So we're blessed to still have her in our program, and she will always be with us because she's safe with us, like many other children, and it's just brought a tremendous amount of joy.
and it's something your members can so get behind
Oh,
because
absolutely.
they see it too and
Yeah.
want to help. And we hear a lot the struggle is I want to help but I don't know what to do.
Yep.
Or I want to volunteer and I don't know where to go. And so, there's an easy way, folks, if you're
Yeah.
watching, support those little food pantry initiatives. We have a tiny food pantry at the United Way for
Yeah.
the same reason. People, not children so much, thankfully, but adults will come to our door for various reasons, and we know they're hungry, and we know that they may be housed but not have a stove or the
Right.
ability to cook, and so we keep a little bit of that too for the same reason.
Yeah.
It's just we're in 2024.
Yeah.
For children, especially for children, to be hungry is just really
unacceptable.
more than we can accept or
Yeah,
comprehend.
yeah.
And I think sometimes it would just behoove people to take a tour or two around the time when people are visiting the
Yeah.
marketplace and other food pantries and just see
Yeah,
the
the impact.
folks who come through and how incredibly grateful they
yeah.
are, because sometimes we can't always pay a bill.
Right.
We can't always pay rent or pay a utility, but we can almost always find food for people.
Absolutely,
And so
yeah.
again, if you're flipping channels and you're sitting there trying to figure out where your next meal is going to come from, we just couldn't encourage you more to reach out to the United Way, to 211, to folks like Sarah, and allow us to be able to provide that for your
Yeah.
family and your children.
Absolutely.
It's
Our
nuts.
marketplace, the Y Marketplace, is open the first Thursday of every month from 4 to 6 p.m. There's a separate entrance, so we wanted to make sure that people
Awesome.
did not have to go through the lobby, because I feel like some people automatically think
Sure.
they feel judged, and that's not what we want at all. So there's a separate entrance that they can come in and out of, and there's volunteers that work it that are tremendous assets to our organization, and it's just it's great to see.
Well, thank you for doing that,
Yeah.
and thank you for all you do for feeding kids.
Oh, thanks.
I'll give you an example of how the United Way isn't afraid to ask for favors, and so we do this crazy Dancing with the Stars thing, and people needed a place to practice, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what are the chances that I might have a room? And so for
Yeah.
2 years, maybe
Yeah.
all 3 years now,
Yeah.
you have provided
Oh, yeah.
a little space for dancers to go and practice, and so
Absolutely.
we appreciate that
Of
so
course.
very much.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about other things at the Y, I want to go back to one thing you said about the pool, and it's the only pool. And so the other pool used to be at UC, right? And it closed.
Yes, so UC closed several years ago, well before my time, and then we obviously received some members through that. South Charleston Rec Center does have a pool, but they don't have a swim team, and so we do. Pools are incredibly expensive to operate.
I can't even imagine.
They are incredibly expensive. It's a loss that you'll take every year on it, but it's a great opportunity because we're also teaching kids how to swim, and we're certifying lifeguards. We certified over 150 lifeguards last
Which
year.
is a huge,
It's huge.
huge need, because
Huge need.
every spring we
Yep.
hear the cries of
Yep.
small pools and city pools where kids, the only place they have in the
Right.
summer to go, and they can't get lifeguards.
Right.
Crazy.
And so we certify kids as young as 15, as long as they're going to be 16 by the time that they start their job, they're good to go. But we also staff all of the county pools. That's we
know
took
that.
that on as our responsibility several years ago. So it's really important for us to have that space. Last year we had over 406 participants in our swim lessons.
So cool.
And they start at infants as well, and we have adult swim lessons too.
And we live on a river. I mean, kids have to know
Yes.
how to swim
Yes.
and have safe water
Yeah.
knowledge,
Right.
because I came, this, but I was
Yeah.
at the United Way of Southern West Virginia,
Yeah.
and it wasn't an unusual tragedy to hear in the summer about
Absolutely.
children in rivers and streams around Southern West Virginia,
Yeah.
and we clearly live on a great big river here in
Right.
Charleston, so
Yeah.
so appreciate your doing that. Is
Oh,
there a
thank you.
cost to that?
Yes, there are different rates, member, non-member rates. But the great thing about the Y and why we fundraise throughout the year is because we will never turn anybody away for their inability to
kinda
pay.
scholarship those.
So we can scholarship. There's a scholarship application that you turn in. We'll do that for anything, for anybody. And so it's super important for folks to know that money shouldn't stop you from trying to use the Y's resources.
And I love that so much, and I just say that's a difference in a nonprofit and a for-profit.
100%.
Not just a gym.
Yeah.
Is that you can do that,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
you can make provisions for
Right.
people that should. So the challenge we face, folks, so much in our communities, and Sarah, I'm singing to the choir when I talk to her, but for those of you who just may not see it as much as we do in the work that we do, underexposure of children to anything, to be able to swim, to be able often to read, to be able to go out and get on a tennis court and hold a tennis racket. Those are things that some of us take for granted. And you and I see kids every day that have never been in a swimming pool
Yeah.
or never held a tennis racket.
Right.
And it could be that one thing that significantly alters their health or their future plans or their
Right.
education. I go to church with a young family and their daughter's on the swim team.
Oh,
And
yeah.
oh my gosh, it is like the best thing. And,
Yeah.
you know, I get to watch the videos.
Yeah.
But her, you know, I don't know. I'll get it wrong, but
Yeah.
she's young, youth, 8,
Right.
9, something
Yeah.
like that. But I mean, she excels. She loves
Absolutely.
it. The parents love the swim community
Yeah.
that they've met.
Yeah.
And it's just a huge thing for kids to have an opportunity to do
Absolutely.
that. So listen, people, don't let
Yeah.
money stop you.
Right. Please don't.
Call
Please
the Y.
don't. Yeah.
Call the Y. Call the Y.
Yeah.
And figure out a way to, you know, help expose our kids to some of those great things that
Right.
they don't always
Well, I
see.
think, like you said, we really focus on the social and emotional growth of a child, and so being able to participate in those group activities is huge. That is gigantic for any child, and that's why our programs, we really want to design them to where it's all different types of kids, because we need to make sure that our other kids know that they need to be exposed to certain things, and it is amazing to see it in action. You know, we started a special needs tennis program.
Yeah, I was
thanks to-
wondering if you were allowed to talk
yeah,
about that.
Of course. So Tennis for Fun was, originated in Florida with a different organization. However, two wonderful and amazing volunteers, Sandy and Dave Campbell, they called me back in March of 2023 and said, we want to bring this to Charleston. And immediately we said yes. And we didn't care what it meant.
Right.
No idea what we were
Sometimes
getting
you
into.
just gotta do the right thing.
I don't play tennis at all. But we knew it checked off boxes for us. And one of the main things that our team wanted to focus on in 2023 was making all of our programs accessible to everyone. And so this was huge. It has brought so much joy. And to see the change in the athletes, and there's all different age groups, all different types of athletes that we have out there, but the interaction that they have with the volunteers, but just the interaction that they have when they know they're doing something it'll take your breath away. And we've hired 3 athletes since we started the program, which is great for us because they teach us really about our core values, and they teach our staff about our core values. And I don't know who likes it more, them or our staff, because our
Right.
staff absolutely love them. But the athletes are pretty incredible. I work with one particularly who is he's autistic. He's high functioning, but he's autistic, and he doesn't talk very much. But he has started to come out of his shell a little bit more, and we have a great relationship now. I don't miss a day of that program because I know he doesn't do well with another volunteer. And so that's really important to me.
Consistency.
It's consistency.
Yep.
He needs it.
Yep.
It's
And
funny.
that one caring adult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
We couldn't use real balls with him at first because he hit it so hard and he would take your head off. And so now we've grown to use them, and you can just see it in his eyes when the vibration of the racket and the sound, it's pretty amazing. We have his friend from his school who, Brad, our executive branch director, that's his buddy. He is nonverbal, communicates with an iPad, but to see the light in his eyes when he hits, and he's so good.
Isn't that awesome?
It's incredible. It's really amazing, and just to see the interaction and the camaraderie between the athletes. One of my favorite, Joey, he works for us now, and he was telling Aiden, another one who works for us, just I heard him say, "Great job today, buddy. Great job." They need that, and I think it's incredibly important. But
Honey, we all need that.
we all need it.
In the world we're in
we
right
all need
now,
it. But
we
I
all
think
need that.
taking that for me and for my team, taking that hour and
Yes.
blocking everything out is incredibly invigorating, and it is inspiring to us to where, even on a bad day, you can go out and be with them, and you're like, okay, this is why I do what I do. It's important and it matters. So.
Yeah, no pun intended, but we were talking about how you don't want to lose your why in the
Yeah,
work that we do.
absolutely.
And, those are the things that inspire you to
Absolutely.
keep doing what you do on hard days.
Yep.
And sometimes membership organizations can be hard days.
Yeah.
And, totally get that.
Yep.
So I want to mention, because we're going to run out of time,
Yep.
but I definitely want to mention the Spirit of the Valley.
Yes.
It's your signature event.
Mm-hmm.
It was the very first event I went to when I moved to Charleston. Tom Haywood was the
Oh,
Spirit of
yeah.
the Valley that
He's
year,
wonderful.
and I was like so jealous and went straight back to the office and was like, what do we do? What kind of event do we have where all those
Yeah.
people are in a room? But
Yeah.
so impressed with your work
Thank
and your
you.
team and the
Thank
recognition of such great people. And this
Yeah.
year, Ed Gaunch, and so
Yes.
Secretary Gaunch has been such a great supporter to so many of us,
Absolutely.
including the United Way. But
Yeah.
You want to just talk a little
Sure.
bit about the Spirit of the Valley?
Yeah.
And I know it means a lot to your organization.
Absolutely. I mean, it's vital to our organization because it is where we raise an incredible amount of funds to be able to provide scholarships, to be able to do programs like
so when
Tennis for Fun
people say,
and
"Where the
membership."
money go?" That's where the money
This is
goes.
exactly
Yep.
where it is. It doesn't go into our operating budget at all. It stays completely in a separate account. But Spirit of the Valley started over 30 years ago. A group of men here in Charleston wanted to be able to recognize someone in the community who had been a servant, had a servant's heart and servant leadership. And so they created it, and we were the benefactor of that. And so we got involved throughout the years, and our involvement has definitely grown. I think it was probably the first 2 years, and that was the Ys. And so we receive the funds that are raised, which is great. And we have received a substantial amount since the inception of the event. I believe it's probably over $5 million at this point, which is great.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you. It's wonderful to see, as you know, from event planning and things. It's great to be over the day of because
yes, it is.
You're exhausted, but it's wonderful to see everybody in the room and know that they're there because of the individual who's given back to the community, but also because of the why. And that's the most important thing to us as an organization, is for them to know that their dollars truly do make a difference, and they really are going to individuals in the community who are getting access to vital programming.
Yep.
And getting
wouldn't
access.
have got it anywhere else.
Right. And so that's the main purpose for us of the event, is just to be able to educate more on what we provide for the community.
No teases on the 24th.
We haven't even decided yet. It hasn't been announced. Spring,
Okay,
2024.
spring.
Yeah.
Well, it was a great time. And
Thank
it
you.
is a great way for people, I think, to honor somebody that they respect so much in the
Yeah,
community, and
absolutely.
at the same time know that the proceeds go to the Y. So
Right.
support the Spirit of the Valley when it
Yes.
does come around
Yes.
again.
Yes.
Anything else I haven't asked that you would like to share with us about the Y and all the wonderful things that you do?
I don't think so. We're very fortunate to have great community partners like the United Way. We are have been a benefactor of the United Way Day of Caring for as long as I've been at
Yes,
the
so fun.
organization.
That's right.
Many years
Yep.
before that, and they've done a substantial amount of work for us. So we appreciate that, as well as other things that we have partnered with on. And then so we're just very thankful, and thankful for other organizations in our community who
We're blessed.
there are a lot of great nonprofit organizations
Say it every
in the
day.
community,
Yep.
and it's been a blessing to be able to work together and provide a bigger need.
It is. We're a great community of people who work really hard to make a positive impact every single day,
Yep.
from babies to seniors and everywhere in between.
Yes,
Sarah,
absolutely.
thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having
I
me.
just appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you.
And thank you for your work. The
Thank you.
YMCA is vital to the communities here in Charleston and your other locations, so we're just really grateful that you're here.
Thank you.
To our audience, thank you for hanging with us. If you're tuning in for the first time, check back again later. We'll have a new show every month. More exciting things to offer. Don't forget to check out our website where you can learn about Dancing with the Stars. Get your tables quick. They're selling out fast. Support our dancers. Buy your great rubber duck. That'll be coming up in July as part of the regatta. Your chance to win $4,000 if you have that winning duck, and all the great work that's done by the United Way of Central West Virginia. So check us out at unitedwaycwv.org. In the meantime, we thank you again so much for your time, and our thanks to the folks here at the Library Television Network. Until next time.